In this video, I'm going to talk about my latest electric scooter. This is my third one and the second scooter I have bought within the last few weeks, really. I will explain to you why I bought it instead of continuing with the previous purchase. And I'm going to compare the two scooters, and I'm going to give you as much insight as I can on what you can do with these kinds of very cheap, typically Chinese-made scooters that you can get off of Amazon, Walmart, a bunch of other sites as well. I'm also providing links below so that you can investigate for yourself or even make a purchase if you want to. This was my original scooter. This is an Amazon scooter, and I wanted to keep the weight low. This is a 30-pound scooter, and because of that, I was willing to jump in. Even if the performance is only 350 watts, 350 is not bad. I had an altercation with some idiot 20-something who was sitting in a Honda Accord because I outran him at low speeds. And the acceleration is certainly better than what you would get from most cars, unless you have a Corvette or something on that scale, a BMW 6 or something with the 8 cylinders that might be able to outrun any scooter at lower speeds. So as I mentioned in the previous video that was focusing on the scooter, don't buy anything that does not have either a UL or a CE approval. The UL approval is a United States private organization. This is something that was set up back in the 19th century to standardize certain safety parameters for electric and electronic industries. The Europeans have their own certification that is a CE. I don't see that on Amazon, but I certainly have seen it on Walmart, and it might exist there as well. If you don't have these kinds of certifications, then New York State is not going to allow you to buy the scooter. So you're going to get some red text over here that's going to say, we cannot ship to your location because of the law or regulations. So this was a 30-pound scooter. I did not want to deal with flats, so I'd rather do the firm tire. As you can see here, they try to make it a little bit flexy by putting holes into it. That certainly does work to an extent, but I'm not gonna lie, the ride is gonna be harsher than it would be with an inflatable tire. On the other hand, you don't have to worry about flats. It has a kickstand. It does have an app, a kind of a generic app called 365e that you can download, but it never connected to the scooter. And that is one of the countless of these teeny tiny issues throughout. That shows you that this is just a cheap Chinese-made disposable thing with a decent battery pack. May not be the fanciest, but it's probably going to last for at least 5 years. And because it is UL approved, it's probably not going to burn down the house either. I'm going to show you what I have purchased to replace it. I used the other scooter for only 3 or 4 weeks, and I liked it, I loved it, but I definitely wanted more power and a suspension system if I could get it. So with this one, there is the suspension. You have it front and rear. A little bit of an upgraded brake system because the rear is now a disc brake as opposed to the drum brake of the other one. But most of your braking is going to come from the motor brake on the front. And this is a 500 watt. So this is noticeably more powerful than the other scooter was. 500 instead of 350. Also, it's got bigger wheels. Instead of 8.5 inches, 10-inch wheels. And not only that, but I will show you on the video or perhaps other pictures if I can get them. You can see even here that you have not a single row of holes, but two. So here, over here, you just have one row of holes, which is going to provide some flexing, but not as much as you can see back here. This one gives you quite a bit more comfort, but especially because of the suspension. I think more than anything, the suspension system makes a huge difference. And definitely the other difference I have encountered is the power. Definitely a whole lot more pulling power. In fact, it's nearly arm ripping at the lower end of the spectrum. So I would say up to about 5-6 miles per hour. My top speed has increased slightly. It's now 21 instead of 19. Adding a whole lot more wattage to the motor has really not increased the top speed all that much. The range is supposed to be the same or close to that, but with a bit more batteries needed. So you can see that this deck is definitely much slimmer and lighter as compared to this one. So this is a much more bulky deck. The nice thing is also if you hit speed bumps, which are all over the place in this town and elsewhere, typically designed by people who drive SUVs and don't even know what a scooter or a bicycle is. Because on this unit you have suspension, they have to give you more clearance because there's going to be some bouncing up and down. So I have an easier time going over the bumps. You also get a front bag, which is nice. Although I used my own front bag anyway. And I always have these bags, which are, I believe, featured in my Amazon store. I have an Amazon storefront. All of my storefronts and stuff are accessible from a single location from my shopping page below, so you can go there and check it out. I love these bags because they are so light, easily washable. They are always clean. I always clean them. And if you don't need them, they are very light and can be rolled up into a teeny tiny package. Now here I try to show a little bit of detail. There is a light. It's very different from the light I had with the original because the small scooter has a tiny light up here and there's a bit of light in the rear, and there is a brake light action with both scooters. You pull the brake lever, the light is going to get stronger, which is a nice touch. But this one, I'm calling this unit the Mule because I really bought it for just like to everyday use. I don't care if it gets scratched up. I do care if somebody steals it, but hopefully that's not going to happen. Besides, I never leave it outside. So this is going to be a workhorse for me for the next couple of years. And so I've called it the Mule. It has a light that's really not that powerful. It looks like it is, but it is not. The same kind of rear light. Many of the parts for the scooters are really the same. There must be some big Chinese factories that turn out these units and they are recombined to sell different brands of scooters at different levels of power and luxuries or comforts. The motor is in the front just like with the other scooter. The rear has a disc brake instead of a drum brake, which is a bit more powerful, but I really only care about using the electric brakes. Now with the other one, the 350 watt scooter, I just pulled the lever and it activated both the electronic braking as well as the drum brake in the rear, and it was really strong. This one is not coded or programmed correctly because the controller, even though the motor is much more powerful, is actually giving me far less stopping power. And now I have a separate knob here to activate the electronic brakes, and I have the lever to activate the mechanical braking in the rear. If I have to take a very steep downhill or stop suddenly, I'm supposed to press this button and pull the lever at the same time. That's really a terrible idea because it's very hard to do, even if you have large hands. Overall, the whole assembly is really sloppy. Instead of moving this close to the bell, this is the bell unit, and leaving us more space to hang our bags and stuff, they sort of put it in the center, so there isn't that much space on either side. You definitely cannot install a handlebar attachment, which would be so useful to have. I'm talking about one of those extra short handlebars that kind of hang down here and you can put more stuff on it. Not with this scooter. Obviously, you could relocate this, but you would have to fuss with this area and you would have to open this covering that covers the wires connecting all of these gadgets. This one is the hook that hooks into the back when you fold the scooter, so this is not an instrument. On the right side, the scooter actually quite amazingly has directional signals. If you hit one of these buttons, you're going to get a signal at the end of your grip. It's not visible during the daytime, and I don't think it makes much of a difference, but in darkness, yes. You can definitely see it in the darkness. So it does give you some improvement in terms of safety, so other people can see what you are doing. There is a hole here. This is where you charge. The charge time appears to be about 4 hours, just like with the previous scooter. And this is a bit of a close-up of the disc brake. This is a mechanical disc brake. It's actually not precisely adjusted. Nothing on the scooter is precise or precisely assembled or adjusted, but it works. So I'm going to have to make it tighter in order to actually make a difference. But other than that, it's okay. I prefer to use the electronic braking as much as possible. But here you can see close up the 2 rows of holes, which is definitely helpful in making the tire flex a little bit more. This scooter is considerably heavier than the other one. It weighs at least 35 pounds, so roughly 20% heavier than the Navic. And here you can see the directional signals. And this is the thumb throttle for moving the scooter forward. This is just like the gas pedal in a car if you've never had it before. And there is a nice cruise control that kicks in. If you hold this throttle on a certain level for a while, like a half minute or a minute, then you're going to hear a beep, and the speed is going to lock until you touch something. Typically, either touch this or try to brake with the electronic brake. Unfortunately, this beeping, it really gets annoying after a while. I would have preferred a very short, very quiet beep, because very frequently it happens that I hold the scooter at a certain speed, and then of course the cruise control is going to kick in. I wouldn't even mind if they did not have sound of any sort. The scooter is currently switched off. This is the on-off button, and you do everything with this one button. All of these scooters have pretty much the same layout. You see the speed, you see 5 bars for the battery, how much you have in it. There's not much else really. You have 3 performance levels. There is a 1, 2, 3, which is called Eco, and then there's some standard, and there's a sporty version. I typically use the sporty version just to have access to maximum acceleration should I find myself in a dangerous situation. The grips overall are way too wide. My hands come up to maybe this point. You would have to have huge hands to actually take advantage of this. Obviously, the cylindrical grips are not going to be as comfortable as ergonomic grips, but I don't think I'm going to replace them. I'm going to leave my ergons on the Interceptor and also on my Stingray scooter. If you watched my other scooter videos, then you can see what the Stingray looks like. That is a serious scooter, but it's not electric. For an electric scooter, this is bottom basement. I bought the Navic for $200, or not even that. They are not even $200. And I bought this one, the Mule, for about $350. This is not the price you would be paying for really sophisticated tech. If you want sophisticated tech, well, the number one, the king of electric scooters, would be the V-Pad, which has moved up market so much. Look at the prices they are charging. They now have a lot of stuff above $10,000. The smallest of them would still cost over $5,000. These people, they are in South Korea. They literally buy aluminum sheets and they cut and carve the whole scooter together. They wire it, put it together, entirely handmade. These are works of art. I don't like all of their designs, but any of these I would gladly take. I just don't have $15,000 or $20,000 for a scooter like that. They have extreme performance, typically dual motor front and rear. I guess the cheapest bargain basement way to get into V-Pad would be a $4,000 machine, which, if you think about it, is not unfair because you're getting something that's really powerful. And it definitely lasts a lifetime. It's all handmade. And compare this to what you would be paying for an electric Brompton, an electric bike Friday, or even building your own. Take a decent Brompton frame, like a $2,000, $2,500 frame, and put on a green kit for $1,200 or one of the other kits I featured in the previous video about electric kits for about $1,500. You can get a very good kit for $1,500, but your whole package is not going to come much cheaper than this. So it is a fair price for what you're getting, but not everybody can afford it. And this is the most palatable, the most acceptable kind of scooter that you can get from them. If you cannot afford that much, and that would be my case as well, the Duotron is also a decent scooter. It's a bit more mass-produced. It's not entirely handmade. I was actually seriously looking at this one, but unfortunately, the battery is tiny and it only gives you 10 miles, only a 10-mile range. But on the other hand, they have some others that are not that expensive. This is an amazing scooter they offer because it's also an airless urban scooter, so you don't have to worry about flats. These kind of custom designed solid rubber tires are so wide and they are so unique. They give you a ton of stability. And look at the deck, it's very beautifully put together, much better put together than a cheapy Amazon or Walmart scooter. And I'm giving you some links below. I'm going to put some thumbnail links as well. YouTube permits me to put a few thumbnails of relevant products, so I'll try to help you out. But if you want quality, it's definitely going to come at a cost. Only $300 is way cheaper for a quality electric ride than anything on a bicycle. You can get a quality e-bike for $2,300, that's for sure. And this one is going to give you, well, first of all, a lot of power. Check this out, 3,400. I don't even know of a small wheel bicycle that has this kind of a power. And you get that wattage at 60 volts. The Brompton electric is 36 volts. And it has maybe 12 ampere hours or 10 or what. This one has 30 ampere hours. It's unbelievable. The charging time is 14 hours, so no surprises there. Look at the 65 miles of range, top speed of 40 miles per hour. And it weighs 70 pounds. That actually might be a negative for me because I have to carry my scooter downstairs a little bit. Unfortunately, that's a problem with e-scooters. With my e-bike, with my Brompton Interceptor, I typically remove the battery from the bag so it doesn't weigh as much. It weighs maybe 35 pounds without the battery, and that's a lot. That's half the weight of this thing. This is really a foldable motorcycle. Very nicely made, very well put together. Would love to have it. I just don't want to carry it up and down a half a floor every time I use it. A bike is a better choice. So what can you do with these cheap Chinese-made scooters? Well, they make a lot of different kinds of them. Some of them are really light, and you're not taking much of a risk. You're only spending $200-300. So if you don't like it, you can just sell it off. I sold off my first purchase after a few weeks of use for half price. I got $100 for it. No argument. I clearly lost some money, but it doesn't really matter. This is an easy way to get into the game and see if you like it. Would you want to tune a scooter like this? There are a million things I would like to do with this. I would like to throw away the handlebar, make it a lot wider, put on ergonomic grips, open up some space here so I can put more stuff on there, but not with a disposable product. This is not a quality product that's going to last a lifetime, so there's no point in modifying it. This is just a temporary solution, really. This one you can modify and build out into anything you want. As far as performance is concerned, I don't think you're going to be able to beat what Duotron is offering out of the factory. And I'm curious just to look at them to see if they have anything that's lighter than this. This is a cheaper set of 14 ampere hours, which is 52 watts, and $1,000. It's really not a bad deal. The mileage is the same as my disposable scooter, 20 miles an hour, but the speed can go up to 29. Unfortunately, the weight once again is 71 miles an hour, which is just extremely heavy. But it is a very well-built scooter with much more powerful lights, and most of them have dual motors front and rear. Very powerful. How about this one? This one looks like it may not have inflatable tires, which I would like. They say 20 miles of range. That's kind of standard. Not a lot, I must say. Maximum speed is really minimal. That this is 15 miles an hour. So this is like a very small piece. Two 350 motors, so you get more power. You get a total of 700 watts, which means that there is an electronic speed restriction on it. But it's only 30 pounds. I do like that part. But I don't ever want to have a scooter again that's speed limited to 15 an hour. That was my first scooter. I wrote about that in my book. I mentioned in some of the scooter videos as well. I'm going to put a link below so you can go to my whole scooter playlist if you are interested. Yeah, this one is light enough for me, but it's a little too slow. I just cannot see myself riding this for the rest of my life. But this is the kind of thing you would want to tune and improve. You can even replace the battery package. Dualtron is a reliable manufacturer. They have been around for a long time. So you will be able to get new cells if you need them. This is it for the current video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And check out my shop. I have all of my recommended bikes, both bicycle and scooter, in this section. I have two of my storefronts here and some extras that are not in any of the storefronts.
I'll be back.